XTRA.
A abrupt emergency, We Are Wrestling.
You only have so many spots on your roster. You can't have everybody.
They're going all in for these documentaries.
I want to be champion. I want to be the one to carry that flag.
You're a wrestler here? You're a wrestler?
It sucks seeing the real part of wrestling sometimes.
You're watching We Are Wrestling Extra.
What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Donnie here, live on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel for the We Are Wrestling Podcast episode 177 extra, because it is a predictions week. So I'm here to give you guys all the additional news that we didn't cover this past week. And I know you guys missed me 24 hours ago because I wasn't on this latest episode of the We Are Wrestling Podcast. But here I am, solo, live on a Thursday evening, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, actually, 4:55, because I decided, let's go early and let's see who has those post notifications turned on. We got Destry here in the live chat. We got Rob in the chat. We got Rage Circus Extra. That is right. And in the beginning, I am going to share my quick predictions for WWE Crown Jewel since I wasn't there. And I want to get my championship back, so it's going to happen. But before we get into all the extra news and my quick predictions for WWE Crown Jewel, if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac already and you're listening to this extra, wherever you get your podcast, please give us a 5-star review, not just any review, a best one review, and download this episode and all the previous episodes. But if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac already, over on the YouTube channel where you get the best pro wrestling content, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you guys to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course you already know the grind is real. And we got EL Juggalo here. Whoop whoop. What is going on? We are live on a Thursday for another extra. And before we get into all the good things, I do want to let you guys know that we do have a brand new super chat goal for the month of October. And if we reach the $150 goal for this month at Big Event New York, I must go meet both Bret Hart and Goldberg and get the WWE 2-pack Ringside Collectibles exclusive signed by both Goldberg and Bret. And if you guys know the history, Bret absolutely despises Goldberg, and they're both going to be in the same building at the same time. We're going to document it and everything if we reach the goal. And normally I do get a lot of signatures and other things at wrestling conventions and at Big Event, but I've already met Bret so many times, which is why I really didn't have plans to meet him. But if you guys want to see Bret Hart's reaction to the Goldberg figure, we got to reach that goal because it is going to be tough. Yeah. But this week, we have had lots of awesome content here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel with our Bound for Glory content schedule week. And if you guys haven't listened to my WWE LFG Season 2 review, that is up on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel. Then on Tuesday, I was live for NXT Showdown. So I do want to thank all you guys that were a part of that. Had such a good time watching it. Then, of course, on Wednesday, I wasn't there, but we did have a regular episode of the We Are Wrestling Podcast, which does happen every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dan Eddy, Rage, and Danny took care of it. They shared their full predictions for WWE Crown Jewel and Randy Orton, of course. And they talked about Santos a little bit. And here I am today with the extra, which we're going to get into the lineup in just a moment. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll be having the Slammiversary vlog. Rage has been busting his ass on it. And then Saturday, we do have a live watch-along for WWE Crown Jewel. What a freaking week it has been. And man, I cannot wait for Blitzkrieg Saturday night. So if you guys are out in the Enfield, Connecticut area, Blitzkrieg's going to be having a show. And myself, Rage, and some of the We Are Wrestling team are going to be there. And then on Sunday, myself and Jungle Boy Jordan will be at Bound for Glory. So those two vlogs will be coming out to the channel in no time. But I might as well start this extra off with my predictions for WWE Crown Jewel, which there will be a watch along happening Saturday morning, I believe 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm not going to go in depth about all the rivalries, all the matches, because pretty much Danny, Ben, and Dan Eddy did a great job on this week's episode of the We Are Wrestling podcast. But I do want to share my winners because I still get an opportunity at my We Are Wrestling Championship. So here we go. We had Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. This match here, I have Roman Reigns winning. I don't think Bronson's going to win. Not happening. Sorry, Rage. Then we do have our women's champion versus champion match to see who is better. Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Valkyrie. And in my predictions, I had to go with Stephanie with the rest of the We Are Wrestling team. I don't see her losing to Tiffany. She's got so much momentum right now. Then we do have a women's tag match, Kabuki Warriors versus Io and Rhea. Love that we're not getting women tag title matches, but we are getting just a random tag. And in this one, I had to go with Io and Rhea, which is the opposite of what the other three said. I think that it's only going to piss Asuka off more. And I think that, man, I'm getting my title back. 1,000%. There's no Brock Lesnar shenanigans. I'm getting my championship back. Then the match that I think we're all looking forward to the most, John Cena versus AJ Styles one last time. This match, I have John Cena winning because I think that's going to lead to John Cena versus Dirty Dom at Survivor Series. And then, we're going to be talking about, in our main event topic for this week's extra, John Cena's potential final opponent. Nice little segue there. And then we have Cody Rhodes versus Seth freaking Rollins. And I think that Seth Rollins is going to win. I'm going to go with the majority on that one. So I really am betting on Io and Rhea to win to get my championship back. I think it's going to happen. But we got that Pro Ranger. What is going on, man? Glad to see you back. We got Dan the Man. I can't wait to see you at Blitzkrieg. Kairi Sane takes the pin. Asuka goes nuts. Yep. Exactly. Dan Eddy, you already know I got the script. Let's freaking go. We're getting that championship back. Dan Eddy has been a joke as a champion with that freaking toy championship belt. All right. Well, now with that being said, let's get into the We Are Wrestling extras that we're going to be talking about today. All the additional news, all the good stuff. Here's our lineup. We're going to be talking about Blake Monroe. She revealed why she left AEW on Busted Open Radio. WWE's got big plans for Lila Valkyria next year. Dark Side of the Ring Season 7 coming soon. It's been renewed by Vice TV. Rikishi making comments on his podcast about Jacob Fatu needing to be booked better. Oba Femi staying in NXT, ? SmackDown creative team shakeup. A couple contract news that we do have thanks to Fightful, and Karrion Kross and Scarlett possibly going to AEW. And then our main event for this week's extra, John Cena's potential final opponent and the plans for how we're going to figure out that opponent have been revealed. All right, well, let's get into topic number 1 here. And on Busted Open Radio, Blake Monroe, formerly known as Mariah May, details her decision to leave AEW for WWE, felt she did everything she needed to in AEW. And here is what Kairi Sane, this is Blake Monroe said, and I quote, "I had a fantastic experience, and I did things that I'm so proud of and cherish. I had a really short contract, and when it came to an end, there were positives and negatives. it got to the point in wrestling where I did have an amazing story, but that was the one thing. I didn't have much else. I just thought, is this everything I want? I also considered going to Japan, which nobody knows. It's something I talked to them about. When my deal was up, people were like, just talk to WWE and see. I wasn't considering it. That's not an insult to WWE. I always just try to focus on one thing at a time, and I just hadn't considered it. When I talked to them and they cared so much about the glamour and all these different things, I was like, okay, now I do have a big choice to make. I sat and thought about it. It was a really tough decision. It just came down to I did everything I needed to do. I felt like I told a great story and I made the people feel something. And it's time to close that chapter and start a new one. So it looks like Blake Monroe, all the things I was speculating for months when she did transition from AEW to WWE pretty much was confirmed in this interview by her with her own words. And that's how it felt with her AEW run. I loved the Mariah May run because of that storyline that she did with Timeless Toni Storm. They did such a great job having her be by Toni Storm's side, and then eventually it led to her turning on her, getting her AEW Women's World Championship, and then they just had that perfect Hollywood ending match to just end things off. And honestly, she probably would have gotten lost in the shuffle realistically. And I'm a huge AEW fan, and I didn't want her to leave. I haven't really been the biggest fan of Blake Monroe that much in NXT compared to what she was doing as Mariah May in All Elite Wrestling. But I do think realistically, after the Toni Storm storyline, she probably would have gotten lost in the shuffle. And I think she definitely did make the right career decision. Even though I would have preferred to see her back in AEW, I think it was the right call. So I can't really falter to it, but pretty much in this interview confirmed everything I was speculating. But I am glad that she finally revealed why she left. And honestly, not a bad reason. Let's move on to topic number 2 here. WWE has big plans for Lyra Valkyria. According to Body Slam Net, sources indicate that there are big plans expected for Lyra heading into 2026. Valkyria is viewed as a big piece in the women's division for the future. And man, I have been such a big fan of hers. And I know some of the day one We Are Wrestling Maniacs know it took me a very long time to actually pronounce her name correctly. Angelo, you always held me accountable to that. Shout out to We Are Wrestling member there. Sure, he'll be here in the live chat in just a moment. But Valkyria has been one of my favorite women wrestlers right now in the WWE, and this news doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I thought it was going to happen after she lost her Intercontinental Championship to Becky, because it just didn't make sense that she can't go for the title as long as Becky is the champ, and I thought that maybe that would lead to her going after Naomi, who unfortunately had to vacate the championship because she's doing bigger things outside the ring than what she was doing in the ring. Sometimes priorities family first. But with Valkyria, I thought that we were going to already get her going after the Women's World Championship or even the Women's Undisputed title. But honestly, I definitely could see her being one of the favorites to actually win the Royal Rumble this year. And maybe she does get a WrestleMania moment. But the question is it too soon for Valkyria to go there? Because as much as I'm a big fan of hers, is she really ready to be world champion? I think so. And she's one of those NXT call-ups that has transitioned very well to the main roster. Just like Stephanie Valkyr, she has been a successful transition. And I feel like lately, within the past year, the transitions from NXT to the main roster have been getting better than what it was. There is still some people, cough, cough, Carmelo Hayes, that they do need to do a better job with and have plans moving forward for the main roster. But Valkyria has done a great job. She's over. And honestly, I really would love to see a world championship on her. I don't think she's going to take the belt off of Stephanie, that's why I think if we do get like some like draft or like shake up or something like that, that's when I could see the possibilities of her maybe taking the championship off of either Tiffany as a heel or somebody that is the SmackDown champion, maybe like a Chelsea Green or something. They could do something there. But Valkyria, I'm not surprised at all with this news, and I really hope this is true. I am curious to see what they're going to do here with her and Bailey, because I'm kind of liking the multiple personalities that they're doing with her. But I wish that they would do more vignettes, like more little things there, because just having her do little things with Valkyria, I don't think it's been enough time. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But let's move on to our next topic here on this week's We Are Wrestling Podcast Extra. According to PW Insider, Dark Side of the Ring has been renewed for a 7th season on Vice TV. And I figured this would be a great discussion with you guys in the live chat who are here on a Thursday. What would you guys like to see with Dark Side of the Ring Season 7? Because with Dark Side, they do like to cover lots of controversial topics, and they do cover controversial wrestlers. And one of my favorite episodes from this past season, actually, was the Muhammad Hassan episode. He was one of my favorite heels during the Ruthless Aggression era, and I love that they cover these things with the what-if scenarios. One of my favorite things that we do with the Getting Put Over segment we do every week. And I love just thinking about the scenarios of what if this, what if that. And honestly, like for Dark Side of the Ring, they have covered lots of controversial topics. They've done Chris Benoit, they've done the Owen Hart, which the Owen Hart one's probably my favorite one to this day, because I think a lot of us had our mind set on Martha with her not honoring Owen in the WWE Hall of Fame and letting like him get merchandise and stuff. But with Dark Side of the Ring, they did a really good job sharing her side of the story, and it made a lot of us Owen fans kind of understand her perception on the whole situation. Because for years we heard Bret Hart talk about it, we heard the Hart family talk about it, but we never heard her talk about it. And I think Dark Side did a really good job on that episode. And of course, they honored Owen Hart, who I think is one of the greatest to never win a world championship. But Dan here in the live chat, Nick Gage had a great story. That was a good episode. The Nick Gage one was good, and I think it definitely brought more eyes to GCW. I think that was the first time I actually got recognized. Like, that's when I started to pay attention to GCW and what Nick Gage was doing. Like, they did a good job with that episode. And then that kind of led to his popularity. He got an opportunity with AEW, made them lose a Domino sponsorship with the cheese cutter, with the pizza cutter. But honestly, good laugh now. All right, if I had to pick one topic I would like to see on season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring, this is tough. I wish I had somebody to go back and forth with about this, because like I haven't watched every episode of Dark Side, but I have watched like a majority of them. But one of the topics that I would like to see them cover, honestly, it would be really cool to see them talk about I think it was the first, or no, it wasn't the first Saudi show, but I think it was the second or the third. There was like some incident where like they weren't letting the WWE go back to America, and they pretty much like held them hostage. And I know there was a lot of wrestlers that were on that plane that I think are no longer in the WWE that you could probably interview for that episode and have them talk about it. And it wasn't that long ago either. It has been less than 10 years since that happened. And honestly, like, it would be a pretty interesting discussion, especially for some of those mid-card guys that were probably on that plane that were no longer in WWE. I think that would be a really cool episode. But let us know in the comment section below, like, what you guys would like to see for season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring. It will be available on Vice TV pretty soon. I don't think they went into full production just yet for the season because we haven't gotten the topics. But once we do that, we'll cover it here on the We Are Wrestling podcast, or maybe even in a future extra episode. But let's move on to something a little bit more interesting here to some of the WWE fans, because I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Rikishi on his podcast criticized Jacob Fatu's booking in the WWE. He doesn't believe he's been booked with the right people. And here is what Rikishi said, and I quote, "A lot of people say, what happened to Jacob? I don't know. Jacob comes out, he's steaming, he's got everything behind him. They're just lighting this kid on fire. Everything they threw at this kid, he came correct. He stand on business, and all of a sudden, poof, like a Houdini move." God, I love Rikishi's takes. Thank you, Rikishi, for giving us a lot of topics here. I've always said this from the beginning that if you book Jacob with the right people, you're going to get money out of this kid, because the thing is, he does in the ring, man. I still don't think they have booked him with the right people and lit gasoline up behind him to really push this thing to make it work. It's just been this little tease. We see Jacob's skills. We see his talent. We see his popularity just catching on fire, but they're still not, you know what I mean. Rikishi be giving us a lot of hot takes, a lot of interesting discussions in the IWC. And this one I thought would be a great discussion because honestly, I feel like this is not just a problem with Jacob Fatu. I feel like this is a problem with a lot of the WWE guys that are catching fire, and they're not taking that next larger than life superstar approach. And I'm surprised like Triple H isn't that good at building the next big superstar like Vince was. Vince created Hulk Hogan, Vince created Stone Cold Steve Austin, created The Rock, created The Ultimate Warrior, created John Cena, and he created the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. And Triple H has done such a bad job with really getting these stars to the next level. And it's not like there is no stars, because Rikishi made some great points here on his podcast, talking about he is there. Like every time they give him an opportunity, he goes out there and he hits a home run. And it just feels like whatever he's doing, it's not good enough. And I feel like that's a problem here with the Triple H era in WWE. Like they have good established stars. They have great role players on the team, but they don't have that one superstar besides Roman Reigns that was created by the other chairman, the one who created the WWE. Triple H hasn't found that guy yet. He hasn't found his John Cena yet. And I feel like the problem is, and I said this, I think in the last extra that we did for AEW All Out, the predictions, AEW is not afraid to take chances. And that's why a lot of the times these wrestlers, even though Tony Khan cannot book a weekly show for his life, his talent do have star power. And that's why we do see a lot of people transition from AEW to WWE. Or the former WWE guys go to AEW, build their stock up, and then they go back to WWE with a bigger contract. And man, it's just a missed opportunity. And it frustrates me because Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, there's so many talented guys on the WWE roster right now that could be that guy that you build your company around, who could be a world champion, who could be a future main eventer, main eventing WrestleManias, Royal Rumbles, all your big PLEs. And that's the thing about Jacob Fatu. He has done such a fantastic job throughout his WWE run, has impressed a lot of people. And then they kind of went stagnant for a little bit. I think he's doing a program on SmackDown with Drew McIntyre right now. But like, they really did have some gasoline there for a little while, and it just feels like it ran out. And that's unfortunate because Fatu, he's a big guy. He's got the look. He's got the aura. He can work in the ring. The crowd is behind him, yet they're not taking him to the next level, just like LA Knight. He's been having the crowd behind him since coming up to the main roster, but they haven't pulled the trigger yet. And I feel like that's one of the things with WWE. They're playing it too safe, and that can only get you so far. You got to take risk. And that's something that WWE, when they take risk, a lot of the time, it succeeds it's a success. It's a success. Man, well, botching here. But we got Dan here in the chat saying he says that for Jay, Jimmy, and now Jacob. He always says they booked them wrong. That's the thing, though. Is he wrong about that? I don't think he's wrong to say that Jacob Fatu hasn't been booked properly. He lost his United States Championship for no reason to Solo Sikoa. Like, I thought they were rewarding Sikoa, and then eventually they would build the feud up more to where Jacob Fatu eventually would beat Solo and get his championship back. But instead, they gave us a random Sami Zayn win. Even though the open challenges have been refreshing, why couldn't we do something like that with Jacob Fatu? He's a freaking Samoan werewolf. Let him do open challenges. Let him devour his opponents. Like, I feel like they just picked the wrong people to push. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. But, hey, we got Angelo in the live chat here. We Are Wrestling member. And here's what he's saying. Sup, this is why timing is everything. They can't put the title on Fatu when they have Seth and Cody as champions. But I thought it would end with Fatu getting the title in Cali Survivor Series. I thought it would I thought he would take this belt from Solo. They would have Solo have a run, and then Fatu would go through Solo's family. He would go through JC Batata. He would go through Tall as Fuck Tonga. He would go through Cabacho, and then he would get to Solo and take the championship. It's not rocket science. Less is more, and they just really missed the opportunity here because after Solo lost the championship, Jacob got lost in the shuffle. Yeah, the U.S. title in Cali, where all the Samoans are from. Man, it's just a missed opportunity. I'm not happy with the booking either with Jacob Fatu, and I really do hope, like, they do something here because I'm tired of WWE. Like, they have the talent right now to build their next star, but instead, they're not taking risk. And it's so unfortunate. Like, I always be like playing scenarios where it's like, damn, I wish some of the things AEW be doing, WWE would do, and vice versa. It's tough being a pro wrestling fan sometimes. But let's move on to our next topic here for this week's We Are Wrestling Extra. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Obafemi is still in the plans for NXT going forward after dropping the NXT title at No Mercy to Ricky Saints. However, WWE do swerve people and tell almost nobody about call-ups a lot of the times, so people who should know get blindsided. And I really hope that this is false. I hope this is Dave Meltzer just trying to get clicks because Obafemi, like, why would you have him lose the NXT championship just for him to go back to NXT? Like, the women's division in NXT is stacked, but I feel like there's really nobody else for Obafemi to work with in NXT right now. And I think that's why I think we need to bring him up to the main roster. We need him to accept Sami Zayn's open challenge for the United States Championship. And what better way to build a new superstar instantly by having him win the U.S. title against Sami Zayn in an open challenge and holding that title for a very, very long time. And you can have him work with Solo Sikoa. You can have him work with all these heels on the SmackDown brand. We can get maybe a Drew McIntyre match versus Obafemi. And man, like, that would be the best way to bring Oba to the main roster, giving him that United States Championship. Let him dominate just like they did with Gunter years ago with the Intercontinental Championship. Maybe Obafemi could become the longest reigning United States champion. And then you could do the same thing that you did with Gunter years later, have him transition when he loses the title and focus on the WWE Championship. Because I think Obafemi is one of those guys that could be the next Roman Reigns, could be the next John Cena if you book him the way you're doing it in NXT. And that's why sometimes, like with the transitions to the main roster, I don't understand why it fails. Don't fix something that's not broken. And I don't know how they can completely fuck up Obafemi's run on the main roster because Shawn Michaels has laid the blueprint on how to do it, and he's done a great job. And Obafemi, like, hasn't had the best people that he's worked with, but he's done the best to his abilities. And I think, like, realistically, years from now, like, we're going to be looking at this next in line thing that WWE does. And Obafemi is probably going to be the greatest wrestler to come out of that. Greatest sports athlete to come out of that. But we got Angelo here in the live chat. I get it. Like I said, timing is everything. I want Oba to come up right away, but I think he should challenge Sammy in the open challenge and win. But Sammy can't lose right now. We need to give it time because Sammy has not been champ for long. Oba is the most ready on NXT right now. Definitely agree with that 1000%. But Obafemi, I think just the timing is everything. And maybe I think what they should do, and I know they're probably not going to do this, have Sammy hold the championship until Survivor Series. Don't even have Obafemi back on NXT right now. Have Sammy do an open challenge at Survivor Series. And there you go. Obafemi makes his debut at Survivor Series. And this is already setting up Obafemi for success in the WWE because who has debuted at the Survivor Series and became a Hall of Famer throughout their career? The first one I could think of is The Undertaker. Survivor Series 1999 made his debut, and he had one of the greatest WWE runs of all time. Another individual who made their debut at Survivor Series, Rocky Maivita. Wasn't the best debut, but he ended up becoming The Rock and the number one actor in all of Hollywood. Obafemi, they should do it at Survivor Series. That's what I think. I would have Oba take time off for carrying NXT for this year and come back stronger than ever, not drag it out on NXT. Exactly. Like, he did everything he could. Give it time. Survivor Series is the perfect place to give that United States Championship to Oba. And what better way to make an impact than on a PLE? That's something that's missing. But let's move on now to our next topic here, getting into SmackDown, which, according to Body Slam, sources indicate that WWE is undergoing creative changes to their team to overall improve the product. Road Dogg will continue to be the head creative for SmackDown, but there will be additions to the team to make the show more enjoyable moving forward. And yeah, SmackDown does need a shakeup. I don't know who needs to replace who, but I think Raw's been better than SmackDown for quite a while now. I think personally, NXT has been the best because I just started getting back into it the last couple weeks. And Raw this past Monday was pretty good. SmackDown was all right. But what's going on, James, all day? Hope you're doing good. But I do think that SmackDown, we do need to shake some things up because things are stagnant. Like, they're not doing anything really special with Cody Rhodes in his championship run. I just feel like it's been very bland, which is why, like, I'm kind of getting sick of the run, even though I love Cody Rhodes and it's not his fault. Just creative is not giving him anything. Like, just have Randy turn on him already. Give us something interesting. Stop freaking planting seeds that you're waiting for it to grow, but it's not happening. And then also you have Julia, which her run in NXT was fantastic. Just like Carmelo Hayes. He had a fantastic run in NXT. And now on SmackDown, they're just lost in the shuffle. I think they have done a great job, though, on SmackDown with the tag team championships. I do like what they did with the tag division. I think Raw definitely needs to take some notes from SmackDown on that end of it. And then also Tiffany's just going against the same people over and over and over again. Like, it's just getting old. It's getting old. Road Dogg needs to be replaced along with Bruce Pritchard. I agree. And I am curious to see, like, who's in that SmackDown creative room. Maybe we find out with Unreal Season 2. Angelo, yeah, SmackDown don't get much top stars besides Randy, Cody, Drew. Exactly. There's, like, really nothing. And then you have Damian and Alistair going at it, but, like, they're not really doing anything special there. Like, they do got to do a shakeup, and I think what WWE needs to do right now is a draft, but if they're going to do a draft, stick to it. If you're on the red brand, you stay on the fucking red brand. If you're on the blue brand, you stay on the blue brand. And I think the way they should do it with NXT call-ups, just like college athletes when they do try to get drafted into the NFL or the NBA, they should have an eligibility. And I think that it should start at the Royal Rumble where they could declare to Ava that they want to be in this year's WWE draft, where it's SmackDown and Raw. They draft people. And then the night after WrestleMania, because it's a brand new season, and a lot of people get sick of WWE television after WrestleMania because we're all worn out because of the road to Mania, that's where we do the draft. And if you don't get drafted, you just go to NXT. But we got another We Are Wrestling member here in the chat. What's going on, Bradley? But they really need to just do something. Like, the brand split doesn't even really mean anything right now. I think that we need to shake some people up because some of these champions have been just working with the same people over and over and over again. And I think Danny brought this up yesterday on the We Are Wrestling podcast, and he made a very good point, which is rare for me to agree with something that Danny Huckins says. But I do believe what he was saying was true about Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie maybe switching brands. Give Tiffany some new opponents because her title run, she's just been working with Nia Jax and Jade. And it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. We need to do something different. They need a draft badly, but draft don't mean a damn thing. The Bronze can just talk nice and get into the building. So pointless. It is pointless, and I don't understand that. It's like the simplest things. Oh my God. I'm speechless. I am speechless right now because the littlest things could make such a huge difference. Less is more. And it's crazy to me. And like, I think it's crazy, like, for us, We Are Wrestling Maniacs here, because it's like with Tony Khan, it's so simple. Your pay-per-views are so good. But just give us storyline. Stop doing these fucking 500K matches. Stop giving us a random New Japan guy versus Jon Moxley every week. It's simple. Like, I really don't understand. Like, it really feels like WWE, AEW, like, nobody listens to the fans. And we, the fans, at the end of the day, we don't do anything about it. We just continue to watch it and complain. Oh, my goodness. The problem is Triple H is hiring his friends. Yeah, same thing can be said about Tony Khan. Same thing can be said about everybody. You all have a creative team. You have to have people you trust. So that's why Triple H brings in guys like Shawn Michaels, letting him run NXT, letting Road Dogg run SmackDown, because Triple H has trust in these guys. And yeah, they need to just do something different. Triple H changed. Here's what I think about it, James. I think Triple H just has no choice but to deal with it because realistically, yes, he is head of creative. Decisions are all like final through him, but there's other people that are in charge of Triple H, and that's TKO. And some of the things TKO wants, Triple H has to, that's his bosses, so he has to give them what they want. And I think Triple H is just the poster boy to where he gets the blame. And honestly, I don't feel bad. He deserves to get the blame because he chose to be in this role. Just like Tony Khan, he doesn't want to get somebody to write his shows. He has to deal with the consequences. And that's just how it is. WWE should bring in Ace Steel to replace Bruce Pritchard and Scott D'Amore. To replace Road Dogg, Scott D'Amore would kill it as head of SmackDown Creative. I think so. I agree with that. Like, Paul Heyman, Scott D'Amore reminds me so much of Paul Heyman when it comes to passion for professional wrestling. And Scott D'Amore did such a fantastic job rebuilding TNA. Like, I don't think TNA would be where they're at right now. They would have never broke that record at Slammiversary if it wasn't for Scott D'Amore. And it still frustrates me that he's not a part of TNA, but I'm surprised that he is not with AEW or WWE, not making a difference. Like, I understand he is doing Maple Leaf, like, pro wrestling. He's also doing real estate outside of wrestling, but man, it would be nice to have Scott D'Amore running SmackDown or something because he's so creative. But yeah, we do need some changes, I think. And to start off, we need a draft. And if they're going to do a draft, please make it matter. I think that's all we ask as the fans. If you're repping blue, you're repping blue. You're repping red, you're repping red. Stay in your lane. Stay in your brand. All right. Well, let's move on now to some Fightful contract news. And all the news here with the contract updates are from Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp. And let's start things off with the WWE side of it. Bronson Reed has been working under a multi-year deal that he quietly re-signed quite a while ago. Xavier Woods has re-signed with WWE on a multi-year deal. His tag partner, Kofi Kingston, is also signed with WWE on a multi-year deal, re-signing. And we're going to talk about them first, and then we'll get into our AEW re-signing, and then talk about the TNA contract situation. Do you have any quick thoughts on Santos re-signing? Actually, I could share my thoughts real quick on Santos re-signing. Hey, he got the bag. And I think one of the big critiques that he had was he wants direction with his character. He wants creative. And I think WWE actually put the effort in to come up with something that I think he probably is interested in, which is probably why he re-signed the multi-year deal. But good for him on getting that bag, because he really teased that he was actually done, that he was actually leaving, and he pretty much got what he wanted. And it's so unfortunate that if WWE because they wanted to re-sign Karrion Kross, but they didn't want Scarlett. And if they wanted Scarlett and they gave her the contract just like they did for Kross, I guarantee you they would have never left. And I think that that's just the truth. And I think that that's just the situation here. But, I mean, Bronson makes sense, and the New Day are WWE stable. They ain't leaving. That's kind of how I feel about, like, the re-signings here. I think that these are great. Bronson Reed, Triple H, definitely trusts him. He's been a big fan of him going all the way back to NXT, because during this rebuild with Triple H running things, one of the first people he signed back was Bronson Reed. Right now, he's in one of the hottest storylines. He's working with Roman Reigns. And I think that he is starting to get over as a heel with the crowd. He's starting to become an established superstar that people know. I think it's a great move that they brought him back. And even Triple H, because I know Bronson was worried that he was going to be lost in the shuffle due to his injury that happened. But Triple H told him, when you come back, we're going to get you back on weekly TV. And that's one thing you do got to respect about Triple H. Like, there's a lot of negatives with his run right now, but the people that he is behind, he is 100% behind. And Bronson Reed definitely made the right decision here. Xavier and Kofi, I don't really care for them, but they are WWE guys. They've been loyal. They've been waving the WWE flag for years. So honestly, it's a good move, because you got to have those veterans in the locker room, because that's how new stars are going to get better, is working with guys like Xavier and Kofi. It's crazy. He came back by helping The Miz win Money in the Bank, and now he's one of the top heels on the roster. He is. And honestly, like Bronson Reed, everything they've given him, he's went out and he's pretty much like done to the best of his abilities. And I think that's why Triple H is putting a lot of stock in him. Same with Braun Breaker. Like, Triple H does a great job of putting stock into his superstars, but I'm talking about like getting to that larger than life level. Main eventing WrestleManias, winning Royal Rumbles, winning World Championships. That's one of Triple H's biggest problems with getting to that level. And I don't think Bronson will get there, but the role he's doing right now is fantastic. I have a thought. I think they just let Kross and the other guys go because Brock Lesnar was coming back and he wanted millions, and they let go Kross, Dakota Kai, Blair Davenport in order to pay Brock. Karrion got an offer by WWE, and he turned it down because Scarlett didn't get a contract, and they're a dual package, which makes sense because Karrion's best run was literally with Scarlett in NXT. Don't fix something that's not broken. And valets and managers is something that's really missing in wrestling these days. But honestly, very happy with all these decisions with Bronson Reed, Xavier, and Kofi coming back to the WWE. I think it's a good move. Not true. I think it was just a pack of releases. We always get them every year. Well, it wasn't releases. It was really just contracts expiring, them not renewing them. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I will say Santos coming back, definitely the right call because they did put some stock in him having Rey Mysterio put him over. And then he kind of got lost in the shuffle there. So I hope, especially now with the AAA partnership, like they do something with Santos. And with him re-signing, like, I just hope as long as they're using him and he's not in catering, that's all I care about. Because at the end of the day, Santos is very talented. And I feel like we haven't seen the best of him just yet. But let's get into the AEW re-signing here, which this one's going to be super quick. I don't have a lot of thoughts on this, but Shida has signed a new deal with AEW, multi-year in length. I don't know why we're re-signing Shida. They pretty much do the same thing with Rio. They only bring her up when they don't have anybody for Mercedes or the AEW Women's World Champion to go against. And they win a number one contenders match that they never earned. They go on to the pay-per-view. They lose. They disappear for another 3 to 6 months. I'm a fan of Shida, but I can't get invested in her because she keeps going on and off every single time on AEW TV, and I don't like that. I can't get invested in Shida because of that. And I'm a fan of her work. I think she's very, very talented. But, like, you need to be on TV regularly for me to be invested. And her just being on for a couple weeks, getting a championship opportunity that she didn't earn, losing, disappearing, I can't get behind it. Like I said, WWE Performance Center, they can create managers. That is true. But no, with like AEW, like they could benefit having a performance center. That's another topic for another day. But we do have some TNA contract news let's see, before we get into that. I like her, but she has not been seen. Where has she been? I think she has like a visa issue with like Japan and the United States right now. Because I did read something on that, but don't 100% quote me on that. I think there was like some visa issue she was having. But like, it's just, even before the visa issue, like it's always been on and off with her. And that's why I can't get invested. Maybe with these tag titles, they could repackage her and maybe have her team up with somebody that they're not using. That would be pretty interesting. But I just hope it does work out. Hopefully she made the right decision here. She is in Japan. So Bradley, thanks for confirming that. But multiple TNA contracts are set to expire after Bound for Glory. Cedric Alexander's contract is up after Bound for Glory. That's one of the many names, but there wasn't a lot of names that were revealed here. But I will say this. I'm not surprised at all by this because I know TNA, they do like to do short-term contracts with people, and they do like to do appearance deals. I think that's what the Hardys are on right now. I think that's what Matt Cardona's on. They don't have contracts. And I was talking about this last week on the We Are Wrestling podcast when we talked about Santino's comments about AEW, like TNA being number 2 to the WWE once they get a TV deal. And like having these short-term contracts is not a good thing because when you have these short-term contracts, especially if they do get a TV deal, some of these established stars that you're investing in, they could just right up and leave, go to AEW, or even go to WWE. And I know we're going to be seeing a lot of TNA guys leave, go to WWE. We're already seeing it with Joe Hendry. I know they said they're interested in Mike Santana. I think Mustafa Ali, after this past Tuesday on Showdown, he is going, once that TNA contract is up, Shawn Michaels is already going to be at Ali's doorstep with a contract. Man, I really hope Ali comes back to the WWE, man. Because that performance, haven't seen anything like that since Shawn Michaels WrestleMania. Man, I need a sip. Woo! But with these TNA contracts, like I really do hope when they get a TV deal, when they do get more money here, they can sign their talent to longer term contracts, because you don't want a Cedric to just be on TNA TV. You're giving him pay-per-view matches. You're giving him like time on television to build his stock up, just for him to leave, go back to the WWE or go to AEW, because then that's going to make TNA look bad. And I think we just need to get some long-term contracts when it comes to these TNA stars. But now, speaking of Karrion Kross, let's get into our next We Are Wrestling podcast, Extra. And this past week, Karrion Kross and Scarlett they did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and they were asked about possibly going to AEW, and Scarlett said this. Because I think a lot of us have been wanting to know, like, what's happening here with Kross and Scarlett. But here's what she said about AEW as a possibility. And I quote, "If we ever go to AEW, that's going to be where we end up. We are going to be flying the AEW flag. This is going to be our home forever." Forever. Whatever our next company is, that's it. We will fight for that company till the end. It wouldn't be fair for Tony, for us right now, when we're still talking about the WWE the way we are, to go over there and be like, oh, we're just here to go back to WWE. We wouldn't do that to him. If we go there, we're like, no, we're going to make this company the absolute best it's ever going to be, and we'll do that wherever we go. And man, you want to talk about trying to get that contract. Scarlett couldn't have said it any better herself. And I think that this slowly opens up the door for a possible Karrion Kross and Scarlett run in AEW, because they have been highly praising the WWE. Karrion Kross has said it to people at his meet and greets. He's even said it to me. He says it on these podcasts and these interviews that he never wanted to leave the WWE. He wanted WWE to be his forever home. He wanted to be the next guy. The fans got behind him with this whole "we want Kross" thing. And man, if Karrion Kross and Scarlett do go to AEW, like, I hope that this is the mindset here. And I will say, if there's anybody that could shake things up and make things interesting over with AEW, it's them. Because right now, these weekly shows have been horrible. I have not been invested in AEW at all. And this might be like one of the biggest low points as an AEW fan for me, personally. But I do think that Killer, I'm done saying Karrion, Killer, Kross, and Scarlett, they definitely need to weigh their options out, because we don't want them to get lost in the shuffle here. And I do like that they are keeping all possibilities open. I think Karrion and Scarlett should go to TNA, though. I think that that's the best destination for them. And I think if TNA does it right, you could build your company around Kross. And remind you, there's really no controversy with the team anymore, because there's a whole new team over in TNA. Because I know when they did leave the first time, it was on bad terms. But if they do go to AEW, hopefully they do actually shake things up and they actually do something with them. Because I wouldn't want them to get lost in the shuffle. But I think right now what they're doing, focusing on the indies, I think that that's the right run, because those are going to be the real "we want Kross" fans. Because it seems like WWE fans have already forgotten who Karrion Kross and Scarlett are. So honestly, them going to conventions right now, them doing independent shows like House of Glory, that's the right career decision move right now. And I think next year, if the stars align, and if WWE doesn't want to bring them back because it doesn't seem like they're interested, I think that they should consider AEW as an option. I'm not saying sign the dotted line tonight, but consider them an option. At least hear some of the ideas Tony Khan has. And make sure that after plan A, Tony Khan has a plan Z for you. Because that's like one of the things I feel like a lot of the wrestlers don't think about when they are signing to AEW. they have a plan A, but then after plan A, like maybe a plan B, C, but then you don't see D, E, or F. But yeah, Karrion Kross or Killer Kross and Scarlett to AEW. I think that this was definitely the right answer, and I really hope that they do stand on it, because we have seen a lot of former WWE guys go over to AEW and use AEW as a way to get their stock back up and then go back to WWE and get a bigger contract and a better opportunity. So I hope that that's not the case here with with Killer and Scarlett. And I think they know that, which is why we haven't seen them in AEW right away. I think Andrade should have waited. I think that he's going to end up leaving eventually because they're going to have nothing for him. But let's see here. Kross should stay away from AEW. They'll book him way worse than WWE did. Yes, TNA, he could be a world champion for years. 1,000%. That's what I think could happen. Even when he was first there before WWE, like I thought he could be a world champion. I think Kross and Scarlett left TNA because of Don Callis. They did. Well, people would be mad saying they ain't even leave WWE. They are partnered. Yeah, that's also a possibility too. But then, like, if they go to TNA and they do, like, build up that star power and then their contracts run up because it's a short-term deal, WWE gets them back. Like, that doesn't make TNA look good, because then you invested all this time giving him a world champion, building your company around him just for him to go back. That's why I think AEW is probably, like, good or bad. It's probably the realistic option here for Karrion or for Killer. I would love to see Kross in TNA. Imagine him appearing on NXT. That would be huge. Andrade Rumble 2027. I'm ready for it. I don't think Andrade's ever going to go back to WWE. I don't think. It won't happen. As long as Charlotte's there. But I do hope whatever Kross and Scarlett do, it works out for them, because they deserve to be on national television. They deserve to be. Kross should be a world champion. Like, if I was a booker or I was head of creative, I would build around Karrion Kross. Like, you could do such a good job with him as your world champion. And then you could instantly get a babyface over by beating somebody like Kross. Like, it's just missed opportunities with him, and it really pisses me off. Like, with Bray Wyatt, like, that's kind of how I felt as well throughout his run. But now, let's get into our main event topic for this week's We Are Wrestling Podcast, episode 177 Extra. And I know this has been a main event topic on the podcast for months, as it should be. And we got some details on John Cena's possible final opponent. According to Dave Meltzer, Gunther is planned to be John Cena's final opponent. And two sources have confirmed that the latest plans is for a tournament to be announced, possibly on the air by Paul Levesque, with top wrestlers competing for a shot to be John Cena's final opponent. But multiple sources have confirmed, however, it reaches the conclusion that Gunther was the person chosen for the final match. So pretty much Dave Meltzer's saying that it's going to be Gunther versus John Cena. They're going to do some type of tournament, probably after Survivor Series, to pretty much determine who's going to face Cena. And it does make a lot of sense that Gunther could be that final opponent for him. He was Goldberg's last opponent, gave Goldberg a very good match. And honestly, I think that he could give John Cena a great match as well. I know it's not your dream scenario. Like, a lot of us probably wanted Randy Orton versus John Cena to be that last match. John Cena versus Edge, which was one of our main event topics a couple weeks ago. A lot of us were speculating that Edge could possibly leave AEW and go back to WWE for one final time. And a lot of people hated my Vince McMahon take, which I am not sorry about. I stand on business. But I think it will be Gunther, realistically, because if there is anybody that Triple H has a lot of stock in right now, it's Gunther. But I don't know how they're going to do it, though. That's the only thing. Because I do feel like Gunther and CM Punk, they're going to be having a program pretty soon. Once Punk gets his shot at Seth Rollins, I think Gunther's going to screw CM Punk. But honestly, like, as long as John Cena's happy with who he's facing as his last opponent, that's all I care about at the end of the day. Give Cena what he wants. Like, this final Saturday Night Main Event, this last John Cena farewell tour, it should be happening in Boston. So the least you could do for the guy who has sacrificed 25 plus years of his life to the WWE is giving him who he wants. And like I said, if it was Vince McMahon still running things, he would work a deal out with Tony Khan and get Edge one final night. And people still think I'm crazy for saying that, but it is what it is. Good choice. Really, I did not hear about the tournament part. That's actually cool because everyone tries to get their shot against Cena one last time. That's smart. I agree with that. Like, the tournament perspective here makes the perfect sense. Because, of course, everybody wants to be that final opponent. It should be an honor to go in the ring toe-to-toe with the greatest of all time, the Never Seen 17, for his final match. Imagine having that in your career accolades. That's going to be huge for anybody. I think it's going to be Gunther. Like, I definitely see what Dave Meltzer is saying. And a lot of times I don't agree with Meltzer, but there is no way Cena doesn't put over his last opponent. I feel like the opponent has to win for his final match. I agree 1,000%. Because that right there, if they actually do it correctly, Angelo, you can create your next larger-than-life superstar. And we have seen Triple H try to do that with Gunther, and I think that this could really take him there. But only time will tell. I do think the script is there with John Cena. I think that Cena will be facing Dirty Dom for the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series because it is the last championship that he's never won. Then I do think we'll get that tournament, and Gunther will end up winning it, and it will be Cena versus Gunther for Cena's final match. I think the stars have aligned. But guys, that is going to be it for this week's We Are Wrestling Podcast Extra. I appreciate all you guys here. We have 14 total people. Not a lot, but I think the more we do these, the more we'll grow our audience here. Because when it comes to WWE prediction weeks, we like to do these extras the next day. Because then for our following week, we don't have to do a whole podcast talking about last week's news and the current news. And the episode will stay in a perfect time slot. So honestly, I love doing these extras. It's a little bit more laid back. I get to talk with you guys a little bit more. And before I go, I'm going to stay on here for maybe 5 more minutes. So if there's any wrestling questions you guys have in the live chat, feel free to ask me. I'll answer anything for the next 5 minutes. And then we'll close off this extra. But I'm really enjoying this a lot. And I do appreciate all you guys that have been supporting our content all week long. If you guys haven't checked out our schedule, it is up on our social media page. We did an LFG Season 2 review that is up on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel. If you want to rewatch the NXT Showdown watch along, that is available right now, which I had a great time with you guys. I think we're going to be doing that more with NXT specials. And if you guys haven't listened to the latest episode of the We Are Wrestling podcast with Dan Eddy, Rage, and Danny Huckins, that is already up and available wherever you get your podcast. And they shared their predictions for WWE Crown Jewel, which I did share in the beginning. And before I do close off, if you weren't here in the beginning, I'll share my winners real quick with you guys. But this will also be available wherever you get your podcasts as well. So please download this episode if you are listening to it. And tomorrow we will be having our TNA Slammiversary vlog. It might be coming out around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, around when SmackDown is on the air. because Rage is editing it right now and he did run into some hiccups. So we are waiting on that. But Saturday morning, Rage will be here live with you guys for WWE Crown Jewel. So it's been a crazy, hectic week in the pro wrestling world, as always. And I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for joining me here for another live episode of the We Are Wrestling Podcast Extra. Also, our super chat goal for this month, you guys have until November 8th, which is my birthday, to reach the $150 super chat goal at Big Event New York. I must have Bret Hart and Goldberg sign this action figure. And the reason it is $150 and not $100 is because I don't have this figure. I was not planning on meeting Bret Hart at Big Event New York, but I do feel like it would be definitely an embarrassing thing for me to do, going up to Bret Hart with a figure of him and Goldberg, the guy who he absolutely despises. But also, if you do see me at Blitzkrieg Pro at Enfield, come say what's up. If you see me at Bound for Glory, come say what's up. Don't hesitate. I love interacting with you. We are Wrestling Maniacs. But, yeah, I guess we are out of time here. If you guys enjoyed this and you guys want more We Are Wrestling Podcast extras, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet ready and you're listening to this wherever you get your podcast, please give us a 5-star review, not just any review, a best one review, and download this episode. And go listen to the We Are Wrestling Podcast episode 177 without me. The link's down in the description box below. You can go follow me over on my social medias. And please, you can go check out my toy channel, Best One Donnie, for awesome WWE action figure videos. And look at that. We got Danny Huckins here in the live chat. You're late, pal. But I did enjoy your little comment about Jericho when I was listening to the pod. Danny in the live episode of the pod was talking about how I'm probably excited for Jericho to come back to WWE because that means I get more action figures of him, which is 1,000% true. And I'll be reviewing all of them around like 2027 when they come out over on Best One Donnie. But quick thing for my predictions real quick. If you guys weren't here, I will share these with you because I wasn't on this week's episode of the pod, but I am still competing for the championship because that's the way we do things here. So with Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed, I have Roman Reigns winning with Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Valkyr. I'm with the majority of the We Are Wrestling team, and I have Stephanie winning. We have a random tag match. We got the Kabuki Warriors versus Rhea and Io. I have Io and Rhea, which is different than everybody else's answer. John Cena versus AJ Styles. I have John Cena. And for the main event, I have Seth Rollins beating Cody. So I am betting on Io and Rhea to get me 5 for 5 and get my damn championship back because I miss it. And Dan Eddie is making a mockery of that We Are Wrestling champion every damn week. So we're getting that title back for next week's episode. And to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.